Nearly 200 countries are expected to lock horns at this UN climate conference. The debate will be centered around a crucial question: whether rich nations should pay compensation to vulnerable states who have been hit by climate-fueled disasters. The COP27 summit follows a year of disasters, floods that killed more than 1,700 people in Pakistan, to drought, withering crops in China, Africa and the United States. All this has intensified the demands of developing countries for a special loss and damage fund. But with rich countries resisting such calls, the issue has been stalled for years. So what is this loss and damage fund? And why does it matter, especially to developing nations? In the UN climate talks, loss and damage refers to costs incurred from climate-fueled weather extremities, or their impact rather. Rising sea levels are one such example, but there is no agreement over what should count as loss and damage in climate disasters. It can include damaged infrastructure and property, as well as harder to value natural ecosystems or cultural assets like burial grounds. 55 vulnerable countries estimated their combined climate-linked losses over the last 2 decades. It totaled about $525 billion. Research suggests that by 2030, such losses could reach $580 billion per year. Now the question arises, who should pay whom? Vulnerable countries and campaigners argue that rich countries cause the bulk of climate change with their historic emissions and therefore should pay the price for it. But fearing spiraling liabilities, the US and European Union have now resisted this argument. The EU and the US blocked a proposal at COP26 to establish a fund and agreed to form a dialogue instead. Over the last month, they have signaled more openness to discussing compensation at the summit, but remain wary of creating a fund. Frustrated by difficulties and delays in securing climate finance, emerging economies are now united in demanding a loss and damage fund at COP27. They have proposed putting the said fund on the summit agenda, which must be adopted unanimously before the talks get underway. Among them are island states like the Maldives, Jamaica, and surprisingly China as well, which itself is the world's biggest carbon dioxide emitter. This has rankled some European officials who say China should be providing climate finance, not demanding it. Only a few governments have made small symbolic funding commitments for loss and damage so far. This includes Denmark, Scotland, and the Belgian region of Wallonia. Some existing UN and Development Bank funding does help states which are currently facing loss and damage, but it is not officially earmarked for that goal. WION World is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.